Hi, I'm Ahmed.
And I'm Michael.
I was going to do an AMA internally at US Mobile, and while I was actually going to do that with Michael, who I've been asking for a long time at this point to do this, one of these videos, I was like, hey, you know what? Why not add a couple of questions from our Reddit community? So I went and posted on Reddit, and thank you so much. I know it was a very short, 1 hour notice, but thank you for asking some really great questions over there, and we're really excited to get into this. You folks have seen me many times on these kinds of videos, Anthony and me, and if you've seen our company videos, you've probably seen Michael in them, but this is like his debut. I'm gonna pass this on to Michael and introduce himself to you all, and perhaps he can talk about the origin story as well on how Michael and I met. It's been a while, but over to you, Michael.
So I also only got about an hour notice before doing this. Ahmed's been asking me to do something for a while, but this was the moment when I had to say yes. So here on a whim. As for how we met, it goes back many years. I started US Mobile in 2016, but actually, the kind of serendipity and path to meeting Ahmed started years before that. I had worked in finance. I went to business school, really looking to build my own business, find people to work on, find an opportunity. And like I like to say to Ahmed, find a company, with an opportunity like US Mobile. But I didn't find him there. But fortunately, I spent my time networking with my classmates, also my professors. And that's a key one for me, because I actually worked with one professor for a couple of years after grad school. And then yet another professor was the one who made it possible for me to meet Ahmed. He had introduced me to a friend of his who was doing venture debt investments for the state of Connecticut, and he also happened to be the managing director of the co-working space in Connecticut, where US Mobile had just started. And he put me in a room with Ahmed, was interested in giving him a few $1 million to buy some iPhones at the next release, go and get them sold, within a week or two after the release around the world. And he left us in the room for 5 minutes, and we just started talking about US Mobile and the path that it was on, and the kinds of things that I had wanted to do. And, it wasn't quite financial modeling and investment memos. It was building something, amazing, and doing that with a team. And Ahmed had US Mobile in the perfect position. The company was up and running, engineer in the room, designer in the room, Ahmed, Umair, and, product market fit, I could tell. The website didn't look like anything like it did today, but it felt different, certainly from the industry, and it felt like the best, most up-and-coming companies, how they looked and felt back in 2016. So I made a long list of all the things I could do, whether it was, on the finance side, analytics, SQL, I know some web development and all that, marketing, and said, here's all the things I can do. I'll do anything you don't want to do. And, we figured out what that list ought to look like in some ways, and then we left, some things to be determined. I started as the director of platform and analytics, and, one of my first projects was the Verizon implementation, launching our Warp network. And, that's a long story in and of itself, but, we've been kind of off to the races back from, when we started.
What's your role today?
Now I'm the COO/CFO.
Just an FYI, we've been trying to fire him out of his COO role for a while at this point. So if you guys know some good COOs, please send them our way.
Yeah.
So, but till then, he'll just have both the roles.
You guys are both wearing black. Do you always color coordinate? Is that part of the C-suite thing at US Mobile?
I wear a lot of black just because over the years I've had, so that I just don't have to decide on my wardrobe in the morning. I don't know. Do you wear? You do wear more black now than you used to.
I think I do. Maybe I've learned a little bit from you. I also wear a lot of colorful polo shirts in the summer.
He does. That's my first image of Michael. Shorts and colorful polo shirts. But I think over the years he's kind of started wearing more black. Maybe the only good habit I've ever given him.
How do you guys jam together? What's your work style?
I would say early on in our company's history, we were working absolute non-stop all the time. It's interesting. We launched Warp 5G. It was called Super LT at that time, and Michael product managed that alone with one more engineer. So when we would be on these roadmap launch calls with our Warp 5G network partner, there'd be 20 people on that side. They'll all intro themselves, and then Michael would be hi, US Mobile, and they'd be oh, okay, great. Who on US Mobile is here? And he'd be only me. So most of our strategic decisions were made between 10 to 12 p.m. in the night, because that's the only time when I would have put my kids to bed, and Michael would have done the same exact thing, and then we would have these 2 hours of, okay, no one is bothering us, let's talk about what we want to do. So messaging each other on Slack. Literally we'd be leaving office at 6 and be see you at 10. And obviously that many things have changed. The company is a lot more laid back today. There's a much better work-life balance just because we've expanded as a company. And then over the years, we found people who probably have even more velocity than us, like Andrew Song, our head of product. I mean, oh my God, this guy, I didn't think there was a way to outwork me and Michael, and this guy does it.
What am I supposed to say?
What an honor.
What an honor. Oh, don't be like me, kids. Don't be like me.
And so now Darkstar is launching. The company is much bigger. There's a much bigger engineering team on it, and I've no idea how he does it. But so now it's more, I'll message Michael on the weekend, and sometimes he won't respond to me for a couple of hours, or I won't respond to him for a couple of hours. And so I'm glad that that's where we have gone now. And if it's something important, he'll immediately respond, or I'll call him. So now it's more sitting right next to each other and making sure I have an eye on what he's doing and he has an eye on what I'm doing. And I think that's kind of changes. We specifically take some time out for each other, sitting right next to us. I think that's how it's evolved now than when it was many years back. And obviously our kids are older now too, so yeah.
Yeah, true. And I think it was needed. It was needed to be talking, in those late night hours. But as Ahmed mentioned, growing the team and having people who can, own projects, front to back, left and right, and Andrew, taking this Darkstar implementation, with a much larger team than it was when I was working on it, but it's so much more complex. So we back in the day, we just had to worry about get something that seems like it works out there, and then the five of us, the whole team, Ahmed, Umair, the engineer, designer, will just change everything that we need to, every minute that we need to, because we're all working on the same thing. But now we have so much in motion. We have multiple networks to deal with, and it's a much more complicated world, and we want to keep it simple for our customers too.
That's true.
Over all the years of working together, what's been your favorite moment of time you spent?
It's a good question. I feel like there's been a lot. I feel like every time we launched something back in the day, because our backs were on the wall, it wasn't really as much celebration as opposed to oh my God, we gotta get these activations up. I remember we launched Warp, and a month in, one of our network partners was like, hey, we're not seeing those activations. And I'm like, wait, it takes time. And for me, I feel like it was in COVID or like kind of post-COVID when we got back in
Yeah.
to the office was a pretty memorable moment. I would say our offsites have been just incredibly memorable. And I feel like bringing Volition was like a huge moment for us. I don't know for you. And these are all recent, like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it has been a long time, so I
Yeah.
think there's a lot to, look back at. But I think the biggest moments have been when we're, working hard on something.
Yeah.
And it's like, whether it's launching something new or, putting plans out there or fundraising, like, doing the work, pushing through it, like that's fun.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's kind of funny though, thinking about it. We didn't have much to celebrate in the couple of first years. Like, we'd have these small wins, and I think recently we've had some really big wins, and we're really looking forward to Darkstar. That's a big project for us. But at this point, it's I would say we have had some really good wins over the last couple of years, and then we basically, kind of finish that off with like one offsite every year, and just every year it's just so memorable. Like, I don't know if you folks have seen our video, and if you're not,
but
you
way of
should
the
see it.
journey.
I'll post it with this one
Perspectives.
again, but
We
the
challenge
whole
and
company was in
inspire each
Dubai.
other, pushing boundaries,
This
defying
past Jan,
expectations.
and I think that was just absolutely.
This is US
it was a
Mobile,
blast.
and we've
I mean, Anthony, what do you think?
Oh yeah, that was like, I mean, like we said in the desert, we did a midnight desert party. What we said there was, where could we even go next?
Yeah.
Maybe to the moon. It's the only place we can go from there.
Yeah.
What's the scariest moment? Was there ever one of those times where you looked at each other and thought, what are we going to do?
Absolutely. I have a couple of them. I'll start with you. Michael doesn't get swayed, or didn't get used to swayed as much as I did back in the day. So he definitely had a lot calmer demeanor, even in like these, like situations that were not that great. And so perhaps you can tell me.
Yeah, some of those moments, were definitely stressful, but I think, and this might be a little bit of cop out, but people often think of like startups and founders and CEOs as being these like huge risk takers and all of that, but I feel like the ones who actually succeed, the ones who actually are here 8, almost 10 years later, are the ones who know how to survive. And
That's right.
It's not so much about swinging for the fences every possible second you can.
Absolutely.
It's knowing, when those moments are. But we've had situations where, we weren't sure if we had enough money in the bank to get through, and, we had to start, planning day by day by day. I think Umair probably took it, the worst of all of us.
Because he would see the books all the time, right?
There's excitement to being in uncomfortable positions, and when you have a team who's all kind of aligned on fighting and pushing through that, there's always that light that you can kind of look at the other side, and we've been able to get there every time.
I've got 3. My first litigation, back in 2016, went on for a long time, spent over $1 million litigating, so that wasn't fun, but just like opening your email and your lawyer saying, hey, like, we've been served, and like that wasn't a good feeling at all. The second instance was our carrier partner back. There's a stage in a business when you're kind of tweener. You're not small, but you're not big, and that stage of the business is when you run into the most amount of issues. For us, we were close to 10 million in revenue, and one of our carrier partners kept on asking us for like the finance department kept on asking us for a bigger letter of credit. The way they calculated it was just ridiculous. Like it was insane. It's basically, I think for every dollar that we grew our revenue, they wanted $1
I wanted $4.
back, right? It was just insane. I mean, think about it. So we got to a point where that whole situation was coming to a head, and we didn't have the money for the letter of credit. So I went to my investors at that time, and the investors were basically one of the biggest. It was a family office of one of the biggest private equity funds in the world. The private equity fund itself is like $70-80 billion under management, and the family office itself is also a couple of $1 billion. And they were beating their chests, and they were like, no, we're not going to do this. And I was like, listen, if we don't do this, and if they shut us, and they say we're in breach and all of that stuff, they're going to, they might shut us down, and we're going to go bankrupt as soon as this weekend. And so the investors had a pretty negative, visceral reaction to it, like, well, Ahmed, we need you to be fired because you're not doing your job properly, and we don't care about. I was like, and we don't care about the business. There's a huge blow up in the boardroom, and when I came back to the office, the very first email is the guy on my board saying I'm resigning from the board and he's now at this point scared that the company's going to go bankrupt and the trustee might come after them, or and then I'm sitting with Michael, and I'm like, what do we do? Do we keep on growing with this network, or do we actually stop the activations? And it was and really, and so at that point we just like looking at each other, and we're like, listen, we're going to keep our head down and we're going to keep on activating. That was like very, very scary, because we almost that would have been that day. That Saturday, Sunday would have been the day where we could have actually just gone out of business. So there's definitely been a couple of scary moments here and there, but you learn to, you kind of like learn to fight through it. And to Michael's point, when you're playing in such massive industries like the one that we're playing in, survival is a big part. The first part is to survive. Like look at like EcoStar or Dish Network today, right? Like they have billions of dollars in spectrum. They've built like a huge network, and have had liquidity worth tens of billions available. But now, some people are saying they might go bankrupt in the next 4 to 6 months. I don't know whether they will or not. I've actually not looked into their their public financials, but like from what I read in the news, that like there's a risk, right? So whether you're small or big, just a lot of times your company's posture should be that. And I think Larry on our board has done a very good job with that. It's a reminder to us that your posture should always be, if all hell breaks loose, will my business survive or not? And I definitely think US Mobile checks that box.
The third instance?
I was thinking what the third instance was, and I totally forgot. And I'll remember it. I'll try to remember it as we, as we go through it.
You're a dynamic duo. You guys are both leading the pack. If you compare yourself to any movie duo throughout the years, what movie characters would y'all liken yourselves to?
That's actually a really good point, a good question, because I don't believe startups are about luck. So many people say they're about luck. This August, I would have been running US Mobile for 10 years. This is his 8 years. Listen, 8 or 10 years, there's multiple cycles you see through such a long time, a decade, right? So if I was to say any luck that played a part in this, it was Michael and I meeting. It's so ridiculous how similar we think and how we are. The things that we're not, I would say, very similar in is Michael is, I would say I'm kind of catching up to him in being calm. Like Michael is like the calmest person you'll find, and I really wasn't a couple of years back. I was very emotional, and I would react. But other than that, just it's pretty ridiculous. Like it still doesn't get old. Like how we're always thinking the same thing. For example, a couple of weeks back, so we had our biggest activations day in our company's history on 3-4 days back on Monday, and then we're continuing to grow. So like that's what this year and last year has looked like. A couple of weeks back, while we were breaking those records, there was a couple of days that were slow. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So I start in the night looking at spring breaks and are people traveling, and what states have spring breaks. The very next day I come in, at 9, I look at Michael, he sits right next to me, and he actually has a dashboard that he'd built a day before, looking at activations in different states, because he was thinking exactly the same thing. It was pretty ridiculous. So like him and I meeting is probably definitely luck, and that's made a pretty big impact. I'll let Michael answer on like what if there was a movie, but I will tell you one thing though. When Volition was investing, so like what they do is really interesting. Like part of it is because like Larry, is a psychology major. He has the CEO interviewed for like 8 hours from like some PhD psychologist. It was literally 8 hours, and probably to make sure that the guy is not a sociopath. As they were going through the diligence, they were like, we usually only do this for the founder, but we're going to have Michael do a version of this as well, because you guys are so similar that if there's something wrong, there's something wrong with both of you together. So that was funny, but I guess I'll let Michael.
Yeah, I was trying to think while you were talking about the movies, but I think one difference is definitely even though we met through this like networking path and kind of making being open and making things happen. I do think I'm more of a behind the scenes person, and so any kind of duo, like I don't think it's like Batman and Robin. I think it's like Batman and like Alfred.
In movies, you usually like have the guy who is like the main character, and there isn't that at US Mobile. Actually, there are, and I don't know how you feel about it because you're on the other side of it, but I definitely feel like the company thinks that there are 2 main characters in the company as opposed to 1. But that might be just my feeling. I don't know. I don't know what the.
You know what it's like? You seen National Treasure?
Yeah.
And so you got Nicolas Cage in the museum, but then you got his best friend in the van turning off the security cameras.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
That's the kind of thing.
Yeah. So Ahmed's gonna be the one to bust in there and like shoot at people, but Michael will do the tech and turn the security cameras off.
I think that's a really. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, that's a little bit about Michael and Ahmed. Now let's turn things over to the US Mobile community. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. First question's a heavy hitter. Is cereal considered soup?
No.
Definitely not.
Why?
You can eat it dry. Can't eat soup dry.
Look at that. That's great logic. I wouldn't have thought about that.
Now, the follow-up question by another user asked, the hot dog sandwich dilemma. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I think it's a sandwich because you can. I mean, it's just like you can put. It's a sandwich, dude. Like, I mean, you can put anything else in there, like the same bun, and you can call it a sandwich.
I don't know. You can deconstruct it. You can eat the hot dog on its own.
Again,
I don't think it's a sandwich.
Yeah, probably the first thing Michael and I have disagreed on, but I probably think he's right about that as well.
If we're doing a cookout at Ahmed's place, what are we having at the cookout? Will there be hot dogs?
Absolutely. He'd probably have to bring them and cook them, but there'd definitely be hot dogs at my place.
Big 10 Guy asks, curious why Unlimited Flex Monthly was announced to be coming in a few weeks, but then never materialized. Is this still going to happen?
Good question. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to do monthly flex, and I know a lot of people have been asking. I know it's something that we said was going to come out, but Michael and I decided against it. Part of it is that we do want to focus more on our premium offerings, so our unlimited starter and our unlimited premium. We want to focus a lot more on giving, on people having pay us $5 or $6 more, but get a lot more bang for their buck, as opposed to a really stripped down version. So I think in an annual version, I really like unlimited flex. but in a monthly version, it's something that we have decided we're not going to do. We do have some incredible updates coming to our unlimited premium plans.
Latest time frame on AT&T/Darkstar, and what the plans will look like once that rolls out.
Darkstar is coming out on July 15th. We had committed end of June. We'd probably make that date as of right now, but this is a big thing for us. The Darkstar, the underlying network behind Darkstar it's been a kind of a pipe dream for me for a long time. I'd actually go in, in my earlier 2015, 2016 podcast, I'd be like, hey, if I had AT&T, I'd be the best MVNO in America. So now that now that we're launching Darkstar, we want it to be a big event for us. So, investors coming in, some partners coming in. We're actually going to invite some of our customers as well for that launch party. When we were looking at those dates, the date that we can all make work is July 15th. So that's the day when Darkstar is launching. Plans are going to be similar. There might be a couple of geographies where we might be a bit more aggressive than others. But plans are going to be similar. It's just that with Darkstar, the international roaming piece is just going to be amazing. And then, we officially will be a super carrier. You being able to share data across all three networks, which is a first in the country.
No reason to wait. If you're just join on Warp, join on our GSM, and you can switch in the middle of your plan. Doesn't matter if you're in day 2 or day 30, day 27. We'll have our network transfer, so you can switch and your bill cycle will stay the same. You'll just be on a new network.
Good segue. US Mobile launched network transfer in beta earlier last week, and it goes into public beta next week. But that's a revolutionary piece of technology that we have built, where you can seamlessly switch between networks based on where you are. You're at a music festival in Maryland. I say that because I think someone on Reddit posted that, but one network works better than the network. Just click a button, switch to that network for a day or so, and then come back and go back to your main network. So this whole tech that we have built, where you can keep your same billing cycle, is pretty revolutionary. And to Michael's point, no need to wait. Start with GSM and Warp right now, and then Darkstar comes in sometime in July.
Murder Mode asks, will the network transfer tool let you keep your starter unlimited grandfathered plan at $25 a month?
Michael?
Yeah, we're not trying to hold anyone back. I know people have liked some of those legacy plans of the past, and if you want to get onto Darkstar as soon as it's live, we're going to make that possible for you.
And yeah, same plan. You can change networks. Same annual plan. Doesn't matter how far in you are. You'll be able to do that with network transfer.
Why does my iPhone say US Mobile, but when I convince my buddy to switch, his Pixel says Verizon?
Totally depends on the phone. It could be sometimes when you activate a line, takes a while for our banner to show up. It could be a specific firmware on that phone that does not show our banner. Usually it's device dependent. So perhaps reset the network settings or update the firmware, and you'll basically see US Mobile show up.
Guy Dude asks, when is Warp getting full functionality in Mexico?
I'm so glad this question was asked. Just yesterday, we got some incredible updates from our partners on the Warp 5G network, who I'm sure worked really hard to get this out to us. So thank you to them as well. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be on our unlimited premium plan. We'll be rolling out included data up to between 10 to 15 gigs a month to Mexico and Canada. So you'd be able to use your data seamlessly, natively, and make phone calls and send text messages. So that comes in the next couple of weeks, as long as our network partner is able to make a few tweaks onto that we require them to do, which I'm pretty sure they will be able to. But I'm just so excited. It'll make our unlimited premium plan the best North American unlimited plan. There's nothing that comes close to it for that price range.
Another user said they'd appreciate a comprehensive overview of the alternatives for international roaming and what the future holds in this regard.
We have a number of options today, and I think those are all going to stay. We are going to keep our international eSIM, which you can purchase if you have, just a single trip and you're, on whatever plan that you want, but you have that one trip and you want to download an eSIM just for your, 7-day trip or what have you. But, as we just talked about, we're working on building out that native roaming because we know that, that is, probably the easiest, or not even probably, is the easiest path to travel. And so we've got that on the GSM side. We're working on expanding it on Warp. We'll have it on Darkstar. And, we're going to keep making that better and easier for everyone.
And, a comprehensive list is that if you're on our premium plans, you can use the native roaming. In some countries where like Warp, we don't offer native roaming in every country. You can actually use a network transfer tool, move over to the GSM network when you're roaming because, it does include up to 10 gigs of native roaming in so many countries and actually up to like 60 or 70 countries. Yeah. And then you can add add-ons. But then we have our global eSIM only plans that are can go down to $1 or $2 a gig. We have a yearly global plan that you can use in close to 80 countries in the world, gives you 15 gigs of data for $60. That's an amazing value. So we have options on the native roaming side, and then we have options on our eSIM only that you can actually go in our app and check out.
MMS Koch asks, Number 1, curious what is the most popular US mobile plan that customers are on, and disregard if this is a trade secret.
We actually have a pretty even split between our unlimited plans and our pool plans. Unlimited, third of pool plans, and then other plans. So it's a pretty even split. There isn't really a plan that people just buy.
What platforms do we advertise on?
More than half of our customers actually come through word of mouth, which is insane for US mobile scale. Hundreds of thousands of customers and still so many are coming through word of mouth. Part of it is our viral customer service, the fact that the whole company is available to interact with our customers. And then, we've done the usual Google, Facebook. But this is the year when, Michael has really taken his checkbook out and we're spending millions of dollars, if not tens of millions of dollars on linear TV. So you'll see us on TV ads, you'll see us on billboards. We'll have a very big kind of push into TikTok, sometime this year. So we're definitely expanding outside what traditional marketing channels are into, I would say, mass market channels.
Do you see any possibility that there will be a pricing difference among networks if the main carriers adjust their pricing models up or down?
So we have these really long-term contracts that guarantee pricing. Typically, your pricing doesn't go up, or it almost never goes up. We always are in a situation where, our unit economics with one carrier might be better than the other carrier based on our scale with them. Obviously, our scale with Warp is massive at this point compared to other carriers. But pricing difference will never work as it's just a bad product design. So what could potentially happen is that you might get a lot more data or premium data on one network as opposed to other for the same amount of money because of our unit economics.
What is your user base up to? How many people?
Closing in on 500,000 subscribers. So we've been growing fast, but I also want to double that by the end of this year. So all that advertising spend and all of our customers telling their friends and their family about us will hopefully get us to our goals.
1 million customers would be nice.
Yeah.
It would be a nice starting point. Michael wants to get to 100 million customers. I think we can at some point.
If you can share, what's your ARPU? And maybe for the people who don't know, what does that term mean?
Average revenue per user. Our account ARPU is close to $40 at this point at US Mobile, which is very healthy and pretty high. Part of it is that we are a premium network operator. And people from all kinds of walks of their life are now choosing US Mobile to be their carrier.
Old Man Moore asks, what's your philosophy on going public? Is this a goal?
It's definitely been a goal for Michael. And I think it becomes a goal. It's kind of becoming more of a goal for me as well. That's the only path we see today based on how we are growing. But you never know, right? I would say that as we grow really, really fast, I would say my focus for the last 1.5 years shifted from thinking about what the liquidation event of the company looks like to 10 million customers, starting with getting to 1 million first. So I would say it is definitely something that we'd love to do, and it's definitely a path, but at the same time, we're just so focused on, riding this wave that we have right now and, hitting scale.
Next user asks, is the collaboration with Best Buy about doing trade-in deals still going to be a thing?
Best Buy has been a good partner. I am very happy that we did that. We actually now are moving into, and I'm so glad someone asked that, we're moving on to a second kind of phase with them where we're doing a direct API integration with them, where you'd actually be able to order a phone from our website and go pick it up at your local Best Buy store. So, and as part of that, trade-ins is going to come as well. I would say we're still 5 or 6 months away from it, just because even though everything is built in-house, specifically for our e-commerce operations, like selling phones, we use a third-party shopping cart called BigCommerce, which I don't like at all. So I got to take care of that part and see who our next partner is, or whether we're building it in-house. And we can't go into the trade-in direct API integration unless we figure that part out.
So just to clarify, this is a feature where users could trade in their phone to join US Mobile. Is that what this is?
Trade in your phone, get credit for it, buy a new phone, and finance it through US Mobile.
That's big.
It involves multiple parties and involves lots of reverse and forward logistics. So it's not very simple. But you know what? We are opening up our newest fulfillment facility in Connecticut. Like, we had one in Texas, and we're opening up one in Connecticut, and we're opening it up specifically so that we can do these things, and Michael and I can go and visit it and have more control over this. So that's all part of getting there.
Nothing to ask, but I like to add that I switched to Warp on US Mobile just prior to a major 4-day music festival, which is Welcome to Rockville. There were 50,000 plus people each day. My wife and I managed to send and receive texts when most people couldn't get anything at all. Kudos.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And and that's what our network transfer tool does as well. If you were on Warp and Warp wasn't working, just try another network out, like immediately, either by adding a new line through an eSIM and using it, and then just falling back on Warp when you're when you're in an area that works better, or vice versa.
According Half 1466 asks, what's next?
Darkstar is next. Seamless international roaming is next. And there's just lots and lots of things that we're working on in terms of user management, managing your line, more transparency. The industry is just evolving in so many ways, and at any given moment we have 20 different tickets open for features that we are revamping and launching. But I would say the big next thing is Darkstar.
Officer Boat asks, update on Apple Watch self-service?
No comment.
Yeah, my lips are sealed.
Well, someone else asked, if Apple's holding everything up, can we get Android Watch service?
We're working really hard, on a couple of things. That's all I can say.
How do your carrier partners feel about allowing a customer to switch their network up to 8 times a month?
People know that no one actually switches up to 8 times a month. Maybe we might have 1 or 2 or 3 users who did it, but that's not how it plays out. Actually, most of our customers are only using it when, specifically if they have coverage issues here and there. So it's not a conversation we've had with them. It's not something that really is up to them. It's our call. We just have to make sure that it doesn't get abused as well. I will say, though, is that since it's in beta, it's 8 times. Otherwise, the amount of times you can do this will be less, and then there'll be a charge for it if you do it after that. So I think 2 or 3 times you'd be able to do it, but after that, there'll be a nominal charge for you to do that. We have machine learning that's inside US Mobile. We have alerting systems. If someone tries to abuse it, we know it and we lock the account down. So 8 times was just a number that we came up with, specifically as people use free trials. Like that's when really they want to try both the networks out. But it's really US Mobile's call. Like network partners don't necessarily have a say in this.
When can we expect the new shared data plans?
I would say very soon. There's a couple of things we're working on. We're going to revamp our unlimited premium plans, might give and our unlimited starter plans soon. And as part of that, we're going to be launching new shared data plans as well. We love that product. I think it's by far US Mobile's best product and technologically the hardest. Like the fact that you can share data in 2 or 3 different networks, you can auto top-ups is magical. Like, I mean, the fact that you can tell us, hey, you can top up to 20 gigs a month and charge me up to $40 or like up to $10 based on what my usage is and it's so seamless. So we definitely want people to use the shared data plans more, and we're revamping it so that people are able to sink their teeth into that specific, those plans.
Fly the W312 says, offer more and better phone choices. Partner with OnePlus?
We could, even though our Best Buy relationship is pretty great. I think it's more like our logistics. We figuring out the e-commerce part of our business. We literally have all of Best Buy's catalog today available to us, and I don't think there's a better unlocked phone vendor than Best Buy in America. So it's really, we have to fix that technological part on our shopping cart side, specifically for e-commerce, and then we'll be able to offer a lot more of these devices.
Powerful 444 said, would be nice to get a little more advance notice next time you do a video like this. Please, didn't even know what was happening.
Sorry for that.
Void Fang Investments says, let's get that Apple Watch.
Trying really hard. It's a huge thing on my to-do list, and I'm putting lots of pressure in different directions. And when we have something to share, we'll let you folks know.
Do you have a question you want to ask one another?
What would you be doing if you hadn't joined US Mobile? Oof.
I like to think that there's no other path that this would have happened. But if it wasn't US Mobile, if it wasn't Ahmed, I'd like to think it would be, something very similar.
Okay.
Maybe the industry would be different, but the dynamic, the opportunity, the company, the things that I do, I don't think it would have been anything else.
Michael, any question for Ahmed?
I'm scared.
Is he going to ask you to show your TikTok feed again?
No, but Michael asking questions, oh my God.
I could ask you a question about the future, but, I kind of like being on my toes and finding out, kind of something new that's going to happen, that day of. So I'll ask, when are we going to launch Home Broadband?
I felt very strongly about Home Broadband last year or a year before that. It's like, man, every time you hit some kind of a plateau, you're always looking for the next thing that's going to propel you. Because on the fact that I think we've found our stride with consumers in America, it's not something that's very important to me at this point. I feel like I want to get to 1 million customers as soon as possible, and then perhaps figure out whether Home Broadband fits into our product roadmap and our company as well. Because with Darkstar coming in, we'll basically be managing 3 networks in America. Unfortunately, it's something that I don't feel very strongly about at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming later then.
Coming later.
Anything for the community before we wrap up?
It's incredible. We're kind of a North Star for telcos in America in terms of how vocal and strong their community is, like, I don't think there's a carrier that comes close to, like, we see people trying to imitate us, which is great. Like, it obviously means that it's flattering for us, but the only way we can get to 1 million customers fast is if you're a lot more vocal about US Mobile with your friends and family. If you post about us on Twitter and text messages and your Facebook groups, wherever you can. And I know I'm asking for a lot. If there's a way we can incentivize you folks to do it that's worth your time, please tell us. Put them in, put the comments in, email me directly. But it's, we wouldn't be here without you folks. And I think what's really incredible is that this community is only going in one way, and it's amazing, and we're so thankful for it, and we work day and night, for you folks, and to, give you the best value. But we can't do this without you. So if you have ideas, let me know on how to incentivize a community. But please go and talk to your friends and family about US Mobile.
Yeah, and just also don't stop giving us feedback. We read each and every Reddit post. We read customer service transcripts. We listen to phone calls. We want to make the best possible product and user experience that the world has ever seen, not even just this country. And we get there by people pointing out our flaws or giving us ideas, and we might not be able to solve them all today or tomorrow, but we need to know wherever we're falling short or wherever we should be focusing. So, you see Ahmed commenting all over the place on Reddit. I might not be commenting, but I'm reading each and every single thing that everyone says. And even when it's a kudos to somebody from our amazing customer service team, I'm also thinking, well, what went wrong that led to us even having to have that conversation. So don't stop talking to your friends and family about us, and don't stop talking to us about what we can do to keep getting better.